Alright, hey, what's up everyone? We're going to go through this Hawthorne course here and work through this. This course is only available for the contest right now in daily nines. So what I'll typically do off this first tee is a B3 shot. Really controls it. So you don't have to worry about putting it in the rough or anything. It's a good way to put it out there straight. This second shot is going to play a little bit uphill, and you'll always need to make sure that you carry it to the green. There's not going to be any bouncing up on this one. So we are going to play the wind here. I'm thinking in terms of this club. This almost seems pretty perfect. It might just come up a little bit short, I'm thinking. But all in all, this is going to... It's about, you can see 230 out of 217. So it essentially will kind of play just a little bit uphill, and you can see it does come up. It still did come up short. So that's almost 10 yards. It's about 10 yards worth. So we are just a tiny bit short there. But better to be safe than sorry. It was a little bit of a headwind. You could see that it was way back there on the back. There's no way that I was gonna. The only other thing I could have done is I could have brought it in with the wood. It would have came in a little bit higher. Does kind of make that shot just a tiny bit easier. I like to typically bring this one in with the wood, so we'll probably do that here. But this one does land relatively soft with the irons because it is shooting down to a lower target. So with the wind, I'm thinking at least 15 yards for that wind. So that puts me at about 227-ish. I know I can take off at least probably 15% here. So I'm going to kind of shoot for that. Is that okay? No. Not where I want it. That's a little better. So 15% off or so. Need somewhere around here, and it should come in a lot more controlled than an iron will. You'll see that it really just kind of checks up nicely. The iron will try to roll through a little bit more towards the middle. It'd be hard to stop it. So there you have it. As I mentioned, it does play down the hill. Now with this hole, one of the things we can do is we can go over these rocks with a 3-wood, or we can try to split them like this with the driver. The driver shot is pretty tough to pull off. I'm gonna do the 3-wood shot here. So I'm thinking somewhere around the line of here. Maniac's ball, 3-wood, silver tee. And hopefully, well, no, I might go gold tee actually here. A little hesitant that this is maybe not going to clear into this headwind. So we're going to go high 3-wood and into the headwind. A little bit of extra distance, hopefully trickles on. We'll have to see. It looks pretty good. And I pulled up to the right, so it is shanking a bit. Perfect ball would have been just a little bit better. You can see it just comes up short. So this, I will always go chipper. And the hardest thing about this is going to be push through and pushing through dead straight. Because that's what it's going to take to make. The only way we're going to get this is with a dead straight. This thing will pull like crazy. So you got to really flick that sucker dead straight. So fortunately I was able to do that, and it's going to lead to an eagle as a result. Now typically what I'll do here is just a backspin shot into this wind. I may be able to even go bronze tee here. So I'm thinking something along the lines of this. I try to keep it a little bit right of center, and you can see just try to put it up towards the edge. Now the main reason that I try to go right center here is to create a better angle to go around this. So I like to go driver, especially on this wind, straight into the face. I'm thinking something along the lines of this. And, 294, you're going to need, it does play a little bit uphill into the wind. That wind's going to be, pretty important to consider. So you're going to see that I can just do a B3 shot here, and it's just going to come down to alignment. So if I would have just put it just a little hint more to the right, it would have been okay. The only other thing that I could have done there, there's not much. I would have had to go kind of like torpedo to get this there, unfortunately. Or just drive it off the tee just a little bit more aggressive. So chipper right, I'm thinking somewhere along the lines of here. And if we can push through straight, there's a good chance maybe. So 22 out of 51. I'll typically go just a little bit extra. So I'm going to go pretty close to 50. There is an upslope as well. So again, we really just got to flick this straight. You can see the slightest bit off, it just comes right off the club. So very tough to execute that. But hopefully you can get a little bit better wind. You can see that was kind of worst case scenario, and I still almost crept that on. So you can see the shot that you're trying to do with that one. Just try to get it there. So typically I'll just get this one off. This whole place relatively flat, but there is an upslope, so it doesn't like to roll out quite as much. It also bounces pretty considerably to the left, so you typically need to kind of land it to the right of the hole. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. Try to make sure my ball comes in right. I may be able to even sneak this in there. This might just crawl there with this wind. Let's try it, see if it does. Oh, very close. Very close, but we got the great shot points, which is going to separate us from the field, which you hopefully want to try to do. We also have a stroke on people, so if we can just try to play somewhat strategically and take care of the eagles when we can get the opportunity. Now the hardest tee from this is the other, well, pretty much either of the other ones. The middle tees can be tough because those trees come into play more. This is a little bit easier this way. So what I'll typically try to do here is maybe a roller ball and either a silver or a bronze tee. In this case, I'm probably going to go silver. Didn't get very favorable wind here. So I'm thinking something along the lines of this and a B3 shot. So other than that, I just need to kind of figure out how much I want to hook. And I'm thinking somewhere around the lines of here for my alignment. And B3, just coming up short. In that situation, almost needed a gold tee in order to get that up there. So there you can see it does come up just a bit short, but a very good look at this. And again, if you can just push straight, you should be able to hold this. It really just comes down to execution here. So I'm 27 out of 51 here, which is a little bit over 50%. However, there's an upslope, so I'm going to go a little bit more in the 60s. And just try to flick this straight. It looks like it did come off just a hair left. And as a result, I'm not able to get it. But nobody else was able to... it looks like a couple people might have found the water. They didn't go silver even off the tee there, so they wound up in the water. So I picked up yet another stroke. Now, with this hole, you're going to want to try to play as right as you can. So I'm let's get right in there. Let's just get this towards the right edge of the fairway here. This is going to allow you to duck under the trees a lot easier. What I'll typically do here is a backspin shot. Land this up onto the green. Essentially play this right at the hole. I should be able to get it up there. Now this is, one of those risky things. Since I don't have a breaking putt, I'll probably just play the speed. So it's up 3. I need to at least go 50%. So I'm going to try to play the speed more because I don't have to worry about, playing through the break. So I'll try to play it a little bit smarter. If I'm able to push straight up, we're able to roll this in. So there you can see I get my eagle. And, in terms of a campaign, we'd be right in line with like if this was a campaign course, we'd be looking right at about 3 stars here. The 1980 points, give or take, if we could just kind of execute here moving forward. So if this does become a campaign, this is more or less kind of the strategy that you just want to go about doing this hole. Now 253, 11 in the face. I don't believe this is going to get there. We are going to go grab her. So if it's not going to get there, I'm going to have to decide, do I want to club up to 3 wood? Or do I want to just try to make it easier on myself and go full and just try to maybe go bronze T? So that's kind of more or less what I'm thinking. I think this may barely sneak there, but it might even need a silver T. It's very close. And there's not a lot of room for error. This is a very shallow green. So you want to be very careful on this hole. It looks like I do get it there, but not back to the pin. That pin is a very tough one because the way that you need to play it is without a grabber, really. But then you run the risk of maybe rolling it over. If you come in a little bit too aggressive, that might have spun up there and not jumped over into the water. But if I landed just a couple yards back, then it does go into the water. So you can see that more so than anything, I'm trying to play just a little bit more safe than sorry. Just try to get my birdie, get out of there. You can see with where I am in terms of points. I'd need 172 points on this last hole. So I'd almost have to lay up into the fairway, make sure I hit the green. Like if I wanted a 3-star campaign, that's what I'd be thinking. Even though this isn't a campaign course, that's more or less the thought process. If I was coming into a campaign round, that's more or less what you would want to do. Fairway and green, and then make the putt, you'd almost guarantee yourself 170 some points. So now here, what I'm going to typically do is maybe a 3 wood if I can. In the situations where I can go 3 wood, that's what I like to do. Into this wind, I'm not sure that I can, unfortunately. But we're talking about Maniac's ball anyway. So, we are going to make sure that we have a little bit of that extra distance. I'm still thinking this may not even get there, which is unfortunate because it's much tougher to hit this green with a driver. It needs to hit the green and not. So as soon as it hits the mound in front of the green, that cart path, it always rolls down. So if your alignment is okay, it won't roll down into the water, but there's very few points that don't lead to water. The drive has to be perfectly down the middle of the 2 waters, which is very tough to land anyway. So that looks pretty good. Trying to hook it around the tree a little bit and straight into the water. So not enough club to get there. I was hoping, to maybe be able to bounce it up there, but you'd have to land off the flat to even. And as I mentioned, it just has to land right in between those waters. So this is a very tough hole to get. And as you can see, I wasn't able to get there. But with another wind, I would have been able to get up there. It's better when you get kind of a better tee box. And you can maybe go 3 wood. If I get a tailwind there, I can go 3 wood with that same type shot with the Maniacs. So you just got to play the different wind scenarios more so than anything. So here, let's just see what 46 with some tailwind. I don't think it's going to quite make it there. So I don't think this is going to roll down there, but it'll be safe. It shouldn't have to worry about rolling down off the green. So, we'll be able to salvage par here. We have a lot of points over a lot of people. So we'll just go ahead and roll with this. You can see 10 under with the, as I mentioned, we could have laid up. I didn't want to show you that shot because you guys can kind of easily figure out how to play that laying up. It's a very short wedge shot, 9 iron, 8 iron, 7 iron into the green. And as sloped as that, you never have to worry about rolling through. So, that with that way that green is, when you lay up, you pretty much secure your birdie, with decent shot execution. But, you always want to, I'm still trying to learn all the subtle nuances of that. But here you can see, a pretty decent score, with some good opportunities there. So hopefully that helps you guys through that Hawthorne Manor course. Good luck. Let me know how your progress is going, and I'll see you guys next time.